Hello Facebook ads people, I'm Konstantinos, and today we're going to see one of the messages of one of the channel viewers and his experience with scaling and all the mistakes that he did, and he was kind enough to let us do this video so that all of you're going to learn from his mistakes. So his name is Jonathan and he was kind enough I talked to him in a private message. I did roasted him a little bit in one of my podcasts explaining all of the mistakes that he has done. He was very cool about it, and that's why I believe that he's going to do much better in the future. He wasn't super affected by all of that, which is good because he means that he has a healthy business with healthy numbers and all of that. But let's go to read his message and let's start understanding all of the mistakes that were done there, because I do get more and more messages from people trying to scale. One note that I have here is, for example, that a lot of times people do take my strategies and they try to abuse them while I haven't invented them for that reason. For example, you have people that they have something working, spending $100, $200 per day, and then they try to duplicate it in another campaign with the crazy method, make it work with 200, and then they try again and again and again and again to do the same thing with the same creative, same product, same everything. Well, at some point abusing that is going to cause all of your ad account to collapse. When something was working, I said, why is it just dying? What is going to happen if I start it all over again? So I started it all over again, it was working, so I introduced the relaunches. There are people, because Facebook is giving you good results in the first 24-48 hours, that they do relaunches every 48 hours. Guess what? After the 10th time, the 15th time, your ad account is going to collapse, because you cannot just keep doing that, abusing something, okay? These are things that we are using in order to correct things, not to base our whole philosophy around them and just abuse them in order to have good results all the time, or whatever that may be. I'm going to read it and then we'll start analyzing it a little bit. Again, Jonathan, thank you very much for letting me do a whole video about it. And actually, guys, big applause to Jonathan, because he told me that it's going to be good for everyone to understand from his mistakes, which means that he's also mentally super healthy and he's not toxic. Unfortunately, I had to turn off my ads this month as my business is bleeding too much. Break-even ROAS is 1.3. Good numbers for Facebook with 1.3. From March to October, 1,400 spent 4 ROAS. April, 2,400 spent 3.5 ROAS. May, 2,200 2.31 ROAS. Until that point, we can see that he is doing healthy moves. June, 3,300 3.81 ROAS. July, 19k spent 1.86 ROAS as spending limit removed. And August, 40k spent 1.19. September, 33k spent 0.92, October 17.3k spent 0.84 ROAS. I couldn't hold out the last 3 months being negative. I tried to scale and capture my place in the action space. Looking back, did I do this too aggressively? I tried lowering my spend to get back to my summer performance. Understanding budget plays a factor too, but as you can see from the last 3 months, it isn't working. Let's start analyzing a little bit. First of all, we are having March on 1,400, April, May, June 3,300. Until that point, we can see that the scaling is pretty normal. Even the scaling that you have done on July, which is a very big bump, it's on 19k, 1.86. This should have been one red flag for you to know that you should not spend more than that. Also, on August, you did 40k. And it dropped to 1.19, which is close to your break-even ROAS. So then you went to 33k on 0.92 and 17k to 0.84. It was even worse. I have some remarks. First of all, why, when you were having 0.92 on 33k spent on September, why you didn't go back to your comfort zone? What is the comfort zone? The comfort zone is not the 19k, which is 1.86, but it was the 3k. Another mistake that most probably happened here is that during June and July, we can see that we have a very big increase on the spend, but I'm pretty sure that over there we were having campaigns that they were from the past there and they were having data. But after the point from July to August, most probably you start changing those campaigns and starting testing new stuff, because when the results are not going well on Facebook, you start feeling that you have done something wrong and you're changing this and that and that, and this opens the Pandora's box into more and more mistakes that they pile up and they create these cataclysmic events. The last thing that I want to mention here is that you're having here from April to May, I can see that you were spending 2,400, 3.5, but on May you spent 2.2. That means that in that level, you did understood that you were having bad ROAS, 2.3, and you did spend 2.2 trying to see if you are going to do well or not. And then you spent 3.3K most probably because you are having some good results on June and you scaled during the month. Why didn't you go and do this kind of stuff during the months? For example, in September, how can you end up spending 33K with 0.92 without taking the budget back? Because from 40 to it's just 7K. 7K is nothing in 30 days. It means that for a lot of days you were just letting it be with with lower ROAS. The other thing that I'm mentioning here is that, okay, you're having your spend over here that you're trying to increase, but why you didn't go back to your normal numbers? For example, go back to 3K, 5K, instead of going to 33K or 17K. This is not lowering the budget back to something that used to work, but it's more like lowering the budget, especially in a new ad account that the ad spending limit has increased recently. I don't think that you should have done this so aggressively. Most of the times we go from 3K, 5K, 10K, 20K, 30K. We don't just go immediately from 3K to 19K. And you are lucky because July was one of the best months of the year. This is why you were having 1.86. But of course, again, when we go to August and September spending more, it would make sense that your ROAS were going to drop because your ad account is not ready yet. It's just a new ad account. Over here, we have a situation where we can see that there was a reckless scaling and you should not scale that fast. If you're a little bit confused from what I'm doing into my case studies, for example, the case study that I posted for United States for a whole 1 year, you can see that in the first month, the ROAS was on 12, or I don't remember how much was it. So I had so much space to scale because this was a business that wasn't scaling while they were having good ROAS. For example, having 12 ROAS and having 4 ROAS break even, it means that you can scale much faster instead of going to that slower pace. On any other case, I would go slower with smaller spendings, and it doesn't mean that you can go to 100K that fast. Also, you can see that I'm using scaling periods with attack periods. You can see that I'm using the attack periods of Black Friday. For example, in your case, you should have done something like 10K up to September, then try to go to 15K if possible on October, and then try to go to 20, 30, 40, 50K just with a very big increase on Black Friday period of November, and then try for the whole next year to maintain that. Because as we said, the market, it's just having the shares that is giving to each one. There are the attack periods that you can spend more and you can establish a higher point of spending to your ad account instead of doing it in a period which is not an attack period. The period we had with COVID and the lockdown was also a attack period that you can go and you can do many more ads and you can have better spending and then try to maintain it. So that's a mistake. I think that you also scaled in a bad period in terms of trying to compete with your competition. You said that you couldn't hold for 3 months. Nobody told you to hold for 3 months. When I did the video about the bad periods, I was trying to analyze that we're having some bad periods, but it doesn't mean that these periods are going to be 3 months or whatever. And in order for you to be able to locate them, you need to have access to several ad accounts in order to see it. So don't just think that everything is a bad period. Maybe it's not. Then you try to lower your spend, but you didn't lower it to the numbers that they were making sense for you, like the 3K or 2K. I think that you should have done that. Based on the message that you sent me later, I do understand that now you're trying to do it 1K a month. I still believe it's a little bit too slow and maybe you should do it faster, especially on Black Friday. Maybe you will be able to spend a lot more and then try to maintain this budget as I showed to my case studies. For the past 3 months, the engagement I'm getting is a lot worse in terms of click-through rates and comments mainly negative and less DMs, likes, etc. Of course, because you're trying to scale and Facebook is not able to give you what you want. Bulk of the spend was using Advanced Plus in UK and US. Creatives were refreshed every 6-8 weeks. I still disagree with that. I think that you should keep the creatives that they were working for you and just try to build on top of them, because the more you keep creatives in Advanced Plus working, then, and this is also one of the mistakes, if you had all creatives from March, April, May, most probably you will be able to have better results during that period while you were working on new campaigns in order to scale with those. Instead of trying to scale the whole ad account, try to scale with the new campaigns. Try to establish your old campaigns with the creatives that you have. Don't touch them. Let them work there. Let them become post IDs with a lot of content instead of refreshing them every 6 or 8 weeks, and try to build new ones that they are going to be left for a long period and so on. Have I picked all the low-hanging fruit in my first 5 months of business? Is it something to do with how I've trained my pixel? First of all, it's not a good behavior to let Facebook think that you are profitable with 1.19 or 0.9 ROAS. So the fact that you have gone back and you're spending less, it's showing to Facebook that you're not happy with the results. When you're not having good results on Facebook, the paranoia starts kicking in and you start thinking that you have saturated your market and all of that. This is total BS. The numbers are huge. You haven't saturated your market. You didn't take the low-hanging fruits. You just scaled too hard, and you will see that eventually the ad account is going to do better. And if you scale it in a better way and with the way that I show with attack periods and all of that, then you're going to be better. And also this is a very good experience test for you, because the next time you're going to be more ready to the scaling. Scaling an ad account is not easy, but also another thing with ad accounts is that, and Facebook in total, is that it leads us in a way of gambling. A lot of times it's not good. It's taking you years to overcome your fears of not being afraid of Facebook, and the second thing of not gambling with the money, because it's just a number, then you are not touching them. It doesn't mean that they are not real. Also, would anyone suggest closing this ad account and starting fresh again with best practices with a new ad account for the same brand, same Instagram and same everything, if this even possible or allowed? No, this is not the solution. It's not the problem of your ad account or your business. Actually, in my channel, when you posted this, somebody commented below that you should change your ad account and everything. This is not the solution, and we should not blame the ad account, because over here in front of me, I have all the problems that you have caused with the things that you have done, and you should not blame the ad account because this person said 3 months without good results. It means that something is wrong with the ad account. Well, 3 months with spending an enormous amount of money when you should not spend it in a new ad account, it's not the problem of the ad account. The ad account has data. You have spent a lot of money already to it, and based on your message that you send me later, I know that you already started spending 50 to 100 per day, and you are still profitable again with 3 ROAS. So it was a problem of your scaling and not a problem of your ad account. When you're not having good results, don't start being paranoid with thinking outside factors like the ad account, the saturation of the market, a war, whatever that may be, and try to see what you have changed, because we should not change things that are working. And when it comes to scaling, watch more of my videos and try to understand the way that I scale these brands, instead of trying to just scale them blindly to 40K without having any indication. You shouldn't have gone to 40K over here after you had a month to 1.86 with 19K. Nothing indicated to you that you should have done the scaling. If you had, for example, over there 2.8 ROAS, 3 ROAS, then I would understand to go on 40K and maybe you had very bad results. The other thing is that when you go on 33K in spend with 0.92 ROAS in a month, it means that for the whole month you were patient without being afraid, and you were spending money because you were thinking that magically it's going to be fixed. This is not the solution. When you see things are not working, even close everything and just start all over again. Again, not if you see this for 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 days, but if you see this like here for 1.5 months, you cannot just keep thinking that's a bad period or it's going to recover. Thank you, Jonathan, for your mistake, I guess, and it's going to help others learn, and especially it's going to help you to become better, and I'm pretty sure that you're going to do fine, because it's better to be safe than sorry. That's all I had for you. Don't forget that if you want to learn more, you can check my book, my course, and my website. And until we meet again, guys, be creative and be consistent.